In a world inundated with data, the quest for harmony and insight is paramount. Introducing ZENfra, the revolutionary platform that transforms chaos into clarity. ZENfra seamlessly collects, processes, and normalizes data from a myriad of infrastructure devices and sources. Be it structured or unstructured, ZENfra understands it all. With a holistic view, ZENfra doesn't just gather data, it creates actionable business insights using no-code, configurable packaging. Harnessing the expertise of industry veterans and the precision of AI and pattern matching, ZENfra offers a suite of actionable insights. From cloud economics to server migration, and from vulnerability analysis to observability, ZENfra not only identifies the actions but also keeps an end-to-end track of your progress. Join the ZENfra revolution. Turn your data into your greatest asset. Discover more at www.zenfra.ai. ZENfra, where data meets wisdom.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Myself, Vipin. Along with me, I have Skip, Senior Director for Solution Delivery. And we would like to share some of the insights, what we have from Cyber Resiliency and Recovery today. Hi, Skip. Thanks for joining.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today.
All right. So with that, let me start sharing the screen here. Just give me one moment. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So as I said, we will be discussing the strategies for safeguarding your digital landscape on basis on the cyber resiliency and recovery, right? Just want to share some of the insight to begin with, to set the context for all the participants joined today. First and foremost, thank you so much for taking out your time today to attend this session. And now we would like to see more of interactive session between you and us, so that we can make it more interesting, and we can answer some of the questions what you have in your mind to take it to the best interest of everybody, right? So some of the insights I want to share with you. Just give me one second. Let me hide this panel here. All right. So this one of the insight which I've taken from IBM's X-Force Threat Intelligence Index, thanks to that valuable insight. So what they have done, they've kind of done some insights and observations, monitoring about 150 billion security events per day, and within around 130 countries. So what they found from a threat perspective, 71% year-over-year increase in cyber attacks kind of used to steal information or compromise credentials. 32% of the cyber incidents were involved with data theft and leak, indicating that more attackers are kind of favoring stealing and selling the data rather than encrypting it for extortion, right? So more of data, they can create their database more informed about it, and then kind of sell that data for a particular value, right? So that various other companies can obtain that data and for their marketing and other activities. 50% about AI market share milestone, right? Kind of incentivizing cyber criminals to invest in developing cost-effective tools to attack AI technologies, because this is the era of AI. There are ways to find how we can kind of break that AI technologies tool, thereby kind of more penetration into the cyber threat perspective landscape, right? So that's an interesting information I found from IBM. Moving on to the next one. All right. So I just wanted to set the context around what is cyber resilience. I'm sure you might have come across with this word quite often, and some of you might be from cyber resilience field. But for people who just want to kind of refresh and get that NIST definition around cyber resilience, it's about how you are preparing, right? How you're responding to, and what are your recovery, and to kind of adapt to adverse conditions, difficult conditions, like a cyber attacks and incident that kind of compromises your company's security. For that matter, and if you think of that CIA, confidentiality, availability, and integrity, right? Availability or integrity onto the digital asset. That's the official NIST version of looking at cyber resilience. I think with this, I just want to have the team to send a poll to all of you to see where you are today, how you are today, before we get into more details about cyber resilience and recovery. I have Fred along with me, kind of facilitating this webinar for today. He's going to run a poll for all of you. Over to you, Fred. Fred, am I audible?
Yeah, Vipin, the poll has been launched.
All right, thank you. I'll just give a minute for the people to kind of participate in this poll. And just about knowing you, how you're feeling today, how is your day going, right? So, and when it comes to your organization, how well your organization's ability to respond to a cyber attack as of today. Okay. And then probably, do you have that cyber recovery framework within your organization? Of course, that's a good question to know. And if you have any objective of attending this webinar for today with respect to cyber resiliency and recovery, that would give us a perspective when we are going through this particular session, and probably tweak for the need of the audience. All right. So that's a good amount of time for answering those 4 questions. Thank you, Fred, for doing that awesome poll for the audience. Moving on to the next one. So as you heard from NIST, kind of definition for cyber resilience, what exactly cyber resilience is, right? It's kind of merging your principles of business continuity. All of you know about business continuity, and your information system security, and just not limited to those two, and your organization resilience, right? And that's the whole merge of these 3 areas, right? And this concept kind of giving you that experience or challenging how to kind of prevent or kind of recover from those challenging cyber events, be it cyber attacks, or could be natural disasters, or even various downturns, right? So it could be some COVID type of situation where you have a particular site is not functional for people not coming in, right? So those kind of situations, how you prepare your environment to be more resilient, and then probably kind of have a minimal viable kind of an operating environment for you to have a business continuity. That's also an important factor, right? And it all sits within the organizational resilience portfolio, right? Now, you might have seen an awesome video in the beginning of the session today. That's the offering or the solution what we have from ZENfra. I will go deep into this, and I'll connect the dots while we are talking about various aspects of the cyber resiliency and recovery throughout the session. But to set the context about what this product offers to you and how you can utilize this product in your cyber resiliency and recovery framework, right? And if you look at it in the center of this diagram, what you see on the funnel, right, these are the various data sources what we have, right? So ZENfra is nothing but a data management platform. I'll tell you about what's the significance of data, and how it is going to be such a crucial factor when it comes to cyber resiliency and recovery, right? And feel free to stop me anytime if you have a question. Please unmute yourself and ask a question if you have anything on a particular slide, if you want to discuss. We would be happy to have that conversation going. Now, these are the different kinds of devices. This is not the full list. Definitely with the space constraint, I have put some of those logos there just to give you a feel that this is more of a data lake where we are getting all the logs from various devices, be it your on-premises environment, be it your cloud, or even for that matter, your CMDBs, your user informations, your software bill of materials, your licenses, subscription contracts, all those information gets into our data lake. And then with AI and ML capabilities, we kind of arrived at 6 distinct product suite, ZRAX and ZOps, observability, FinOps, cyber intelligence, ZENfra intelligence, and migrations, right? So and the first one is, of course, kind of assessment, basically, risk assessment and control systems. So using these capabilities, what we have built around a suite of products, we have come up with a philosophy called ZenPack, which is more custom driven, right? You can pick and choose best of these capabilities or a feature set from these product suite. You can create your own package out of it. That package, you can use it for a specific business use case in your environment for various reasons, right? So if you want to have a privilege access management control systems, right? So you can create or carve out some of those things, highly customizable capability through AI ML backend supported product. It gives you that kind of empowerment to do that privilege access management in your environment, right? Something we want to talk more about to the end of this webinar is Success 360. That includes your discovery analysis planning, your vulnerability assessment, your user risk patterns, all sort of things to kind of have a more resilient, more predictive analytics sort of a thing, which help you to make your environment more safe and secure. And of course, I'm not touching on all the other aspects of this. Where, if you want to do some sort of a chargeback or a vulnerability assessment, audits, and if you want to have recommendations to make your business seamlessly functioning, right? And if you want to really see your inventory, well, that's very important factor when it comes to your cyber resiliency and recovery. So, and then holistically, you can manage all of these things together with a project management model. Now, just to re-emphasize, the center function is a data platform where we have all the data lying there from your environment, and this is more of a private AI. So if you want to have your, your environment, and it's not, kind of any data is not going out, you can have your own tenant created out of it, and then you can have boundary walls around it, have a private AI system, and you can create these suites of products, ZenPacks from the data what you have. The power of data, you can be really used it. And the product suite I discussed about it, ZenPacks we discussed about it. Now going back to the cyber resilience function, right? So before that, I just want to give a minute to Skip if he has got something to add on from the conversation what we have so far.
Yeah, from a standpoint of experience, I've actually used this tool multiple times to do backup and recovery assessments, cyber resiliency assessments, as well as privileged user access assessments. It's a really good tool to be able to quickly understand an environment and then build actionable strategies from that understanding. So that kind of bear that in mind as we go through this presentation today. Thank you, Vipin.
Thank you, Skip, for sharing those valuable insights about how is your experience around using this product. Thank you. So let's look at, how does, we want to go a little deeper into cyber resiliency function, right? You can think of your old school, of course, and which is prevailing even today and going forward as well, your ITI, right? So life cycle. So be it your strategy, defining your strategy, the way you are designing, and then, you go through the transition phase, and then getting into operationalizing that cyber resiliency function. And then, of course, continuous improvement is the key because nothing is permanent. So you need to continue evolving, continue developing that. So that's where cyber resiliency framework you can think of going through various stages, right? Now, how do you define your strategy? In the strategy phase, kind of you're looking at your objectives, your critical assets, mission critical applications, your important systems and services, and then what are the risks associated with that, what kind of vulnerabilities you want to prevent these. So it's more of a in the first phase is about defining your strategy, right? So, and then kind of from those assessment, from those information what you've gathered with the power of data what you have, then you get into a design phase where you kind of put in a right control systems, procedures, and of course training your community within the organizations. All your employees, starts from leadership to the root level employee, to safeguard your critical assets. And then kind of what kind of decision making roles and authorities, and then defining those responsibilities for those people. So that's in your design phase, right? Then comes in your transition phase. So whatever you got it designed, and then you're going to make it to the operational phase. That involves, kind of testing your controls and, kind of doing, some sort of an incident detection capabilities, identifying those potential threat, maybe kind of you can do some sort of a POCs if you want to do within the organization, some trial runs to make it happen that, this is working as expected. And then finally, you kind of operationalizing that model, what you have come up with, implementing those controls for your procedures, processes, and then, kind of how you are going with detecting that cyber attacks, whatever threat landscape, what you have, right, in terms of cybersecurity work. Then, managing those cyber events and incidents, and basically testing it. And of course, if you see that effectiveness, right, it's just not about having those control systems, but you also need to make sure that whether you have an effective methodologies available to execute this, be it time, right skills, capabilities within the group, reporting mechanisms, right? And thereby bringing efficiency, right? It cannot be a very costly affair as well. So you need to bring in the efficiency. And then the design, what you have got it, should operate it consistently without failures, right? Because this is not something you do it for once and then you leave it thinking that the system is going to perform as per requirement, right? So you need to continue to monitor it, making sure that it's consistently available for your cyber resiliency requirement. Now, I briefly touched upon the continuous improvement process, which is integrated, right? Because there's no way you can see that, okay, there's a solution which is foolproof solution which is available for you, and then thinking that everything you have is safe, right? So continuous improvement, looking at what's happening, what kind of new additions we need to do it. Do we really need to have additional products adding into the stack what you have? Are we covering all of that? Be it your perimeter security, your network security level, you may have to have your backup strategy, cleaning of the data, what you have, your production environment, your snapshots, your, all sort of things, what you need to kind of look at it periodically, making sure that there are improvements wherever required, needs to be done, right? And continuous training, your yearly training for, or maybe quarterly training for employees, to making sure that everybody's aware of it, because no one is kind of need to be left in this entire episode of making it happen for the organization collectively. Collaboration is a key, of course. And then, and also relooking at the design and the strategy, even for that matter, do we have the right strategy in place? Are we, making sure that the governance model is right? So all sort of things needs to be considered in this changing and dynamic environment, right? And I just want to give you a perspective again. This is another interesting information I found, and I thought of sharing with all of you. Somebody doing a successful cyber attack can have just not that impact on that moment, right? It could be a long-lasting impact, especially of course, if there is an attack of that sort, it can lead into loss. Your revenue can be a toss, right? Customer turnover, you can have a data loss environment. So it can even affect your company's goodwill, reputation, credibility, right? Brand value, of course, right? These kind of, a lot of worrying some, and of course, some cyber attacks even have ransomware, right? So, and then they kind of ask for money. So those kind of situation can lead into very bad, ugly state for the organization. And there are companies who shut down because they could not, kind of cope up with that situation, what happened, right? Especially 60% of the small companies, that kind of companies face a lot of cyber attack and then go out of the business within 6 months after that. So it's worrying factor. So that's the importance of having a robust cyber resiliency and recovery mechanism. And that's where organization like ZENfra can definitely help and support you during that journey, right? And if you look at, what is this framework which I mentioned about, right? So governance, of course, plays a crucial role there, right? And what are we trying to do? So we are trying to preserve the integrity of the organization, be it in all aspects, right? So having a great cyber resilience strategy, right? So if you look at this framework, right? So 2 segments, if you can see, one is about the pre-incident. What are the actions you need to do in order to make sure that you have everything in place for your cyber resiliency perspective, right? Kind of continuing identifying it, detecting it, and then trying to protect it. And if there is an incident happen, as I said, there's no foolproof solution I can think of that, okay, you will be 100% safe from any of the attacks, right? Because they are also updating their code. The bad people are always there looking for opportunities to look at the vulnerabilities in your environment, to have those threats, and then take advantage of that situation, right? So, but if at all something of that sort happens, worst case situation, how you are going to respond to that, right? And what are your methodologies to recover and come back into your, if you think of RTO, RPO perspective, right? So how long it would take for you to come back into the normal operation, at least the minimum level of operation, so business continuity in place. And as I said, refining that always. This is something which you can think of from a framework perspective. Look at from a pre-incident perspective, post-incident perspective, how you're looking at your entire ecosystem of infrastructure, making sure there's no much impact to the organization. Of course, there would be minor impact, but then how well you define your resiliency, and that makes a huge difference in this entire framework, right? That's where, and I talked about ZENfra briefly about it. So I'll talk a little bit more about how ZENfra can help you in doing those kind of vigilance and visibility for you to make sure that you are protected and you have complete visibility about what's happening in your environment. You can monitor it and then make those, using those insights, what the product gives you, to take those corrective actions for your organization, right? Basically what we are looking at from safeguarding and placing a remedy and, looking at remediations, and then, protecting your important assets, right? Any situations happens, how well you are equipped, your environment. So those kind of things we can look at it. All right. So Fred, do we have another poll or shall I continue?
So it will be last poll, Vipin, so we can
Okay, we
continue.
just have one more poll.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you. All right. So now, it's all kind of a summarizing what I just mentioned about, ultimate goal, right? Cyber criminals to gain, they're trying to continue to gain access to your environment, especially your high value assets and data, right? So the first step, if you ask me, many of the organization thinks that they know where their data resides, right? And but that's not the reality. Right? Many of the organization, they have different functions, different ways of doing it. They may have sister concerns. So consolidating the data and having a single pane of glass kind of look is very important, right? Then otherwise, what happens? You will do the cyber resilience, your recovery in pockets, and then that may not be effective for the organization. So having a holistic view from an observability perspective of all your assets is crucial for defining your strategy for your cyber resiliency and recovery, right? And what is that out of sensitive where you need to give utmost importance to it? And what are those critical business functions, right? So, and any attack on that can kind of disrupt your normal functions within. So what we are talking about good IT hygiene, right? That includes your inventory of all your digital assets, gets you that visibility, what we are talking about, right? Be it your servers, storage, applications, accounts, right? That's where you start, right? And then, how you are going to protect it. That's an important element, right? So once you know what is that you have, and then you need to start thinking about how you're going to safeguard these from a security, right? Application system, be it your cloud network, right? Your endpoints, including your mobile devices, can be a threat landscape if you consider, right? Because now if organizations are allowing you to bring your own device, right? So those philosophy, do you have the right level of protection being added into those devices so that none of the information can be stolen through any of those methods what we have in cyber attack perspective, right? Employee training, so that's what I was talking about, right? So periodic training, making sure you might think that, okay, very simple thing to have a password policy, and if the person who's setting up the password doesn't know how strong password they need to, things which can be taken for granted can become your threat landscape, right? So, and then defining your security policies, identifying access controls, vulnerability assessment, regular maintenance of your IT infrastructure, that's important. Then detection, right? So these are the different phases which I talked about in the cyber resiliency framework. So you can find your intrusions, malware or any Trojan, or your any sort of man in the middle, or kind of spoofing your network, those kind of detection. So you need to have, if your organization is not capable enough to do that, of course, you need to look at alternate options. Organization like ZENfra can definitely help you to find those, right? So, that includes your comprehensive capability, not in pockets, as I said, right? And continuously monitor it through an extended period of time, and looking at malicious actors, how you're going to detect various, APTs, advanced, threat protection system, what you have. Does it really doing what is required for you to, make sure your environment is kind of protected, right? And then, preparing for your response measures. And then how you're going to respond after, once you detect an attack, right? Of course, if you are from that security operations team, then you understand that, you will see a lot of attacks coming, right? So, but then how well you have responded to that, protecting and your users' immunity within the organization have a seamless experience. They don't see anything what's happening in the environment because you have a strong IT security team running 24/7, looking at all the aspects and detecting it and appropriately responding to any of those things, right? That's a seamless experience your user community within the organizations have got, right? So response planning is an important factor to react quickly, and there is a security incident, if minimizing the impact, right? I'm not saying that, okay, all the attack what you have, you will not have an impact as such, but how well you can minimize that impact and how better you can improve your recovery time. That's an important factor when it comes to responding to that. So for that, what you needed, definitely you need a solid process, including all the sticky stakeholders, roles, and then it's a collective response is what, and a different levels of attack, what we see in organization, right? And then recover, of course. So I've given a lot of text here because I thought of sharing the slides with you to the end of this webinar, so that if I just put the bullets, probably you will not be able to recollect that what we discussed during the conversation. So I just thought of giving this text to you also so that you can refer it back when you get time, if you're planning and using this slide for your cyber resiliency preparation, right? So basically, I talked about business interruptions, how you can recover from that, and what are those measures you are going to do it. That includes your third-party vendor, right? So say, for example, if you don't have those experts in-house, rather than, waiting to build that capability, it's important factor for you to outsource that disaster recovery and response to a third-party vendor who can give you those right tools for you to make that happen for you. And then you kind of learn through that, right? From that exercise of doing it, right? And that's where we are looking at effectively coming back. That's part of the resiliency. Not that everything we can have in-house, right? So, okay, so this is a good pause. What we can do, thinking about cyber resiliency is all about being prepared for these issues. And, as I said on the screen here, let's face it, there's nothing a foolproof solution which is available in this world that, you can 100% rely on, right? So if you look at some other number, I found it interestingly that 240 hours per year on an average is what we see downtime for organization collectively. And this is all coming from a reliable source of information, what I've researched on, right? So imagine that if that happens to your organization, what could be the loss or how it is going to cost your team and organization, right? If there are not effective measures being in place. Right, so does it only about security devices or your server storage? No, right? So cyber resilience approach requires more than right technology. We need to have people, process, supply chain security, risk management practice. Everything comes into the play when it comes to this. This is more of a proactive, holistic approach to cybersecurity and resilience to kind of reduce the impact and to protect the reputation, the credibility of the organization where you are working for, right? So I'll take a pause here. And if you have any questions from the content, what we have delivered so far, happy to take any questions and address it. Okay. So silence, I take it as no questions.
If
Okay,
I can jump in for a quick second, Vipin.
Yep.
I think one of the most important things to realize is, we're talking about preparation. The best way to be prepared is to know and to understand where you are today from a cyber resilience standpoint. Do you have valid, immutable backups that can be recovered? Do you have standby infrastructure if your infrastructure is disabled? Do you have contracts in place to allow the standing up of equipment and virtual instances quickly, should you need to? Those are some of the items that you need to really consider when you're talking about cyber recovery preparation, in addition to penetration testing and good firewalls and processes internally. You need to make sure that your supply chain is set up in advance to be able to respond quickly.
Precisely, bang on. Thank you, Skip, for sharing that. Audience, if you have any questions before we move to the next slide. All right. So now I talked about the data, right? I just want to put a slide here, a smarter focus on the data, right? So I briefly touched upon ZENfra. Now, what I strongly believe throughout my experience, through my experience in working with RSS security for 7 years as a theater leader for security management and compliance, right? So I found that data is the enabler, right? To be honest, kind of the foundation for building your cybersecurity. You call it as a science, right? So having it, it's not just about, I have all the data, but ensuring that you have the quality of the data and you have the right security and, how you're protecting that data first in place so that you can make sure that you have a cybersecurity and cyber resiliency plan in place, right? Quality of the data is important. So ZENfra does a lot of things when it comes to, if you think of from a machine learning, AI, ML perspective, it does lots and lots of data cleansing for you. It does normalization. It gives you all that tools, what is required for you to kind of look at what exactly where you need to plan your cybersecurity and resilience, right? because that's the foundation, as I said, right? Mentioning that, so it has to be accurate, it has to be complete, right? It has to be consistent, unique, valued, maintains its integrity, because it's a corrupted information. If you have, not using it in right data, or if you have an inaccurate or bad data, your cybersecurity also can take a loss, right? So that's where I want to put that question there. Not sure where to start with this data, because everybody start thinking about, okay, I need to have a firewall. I need to have this. I need to have, as Skip rightly mentioned about, let's do this, let's bring in 5 other tools for protecting that. And again, I'm going back and telling the data is the powerhouse, what you have in your environment. So collectively looking at the data, having that platform for you to get that insight is crucial for you to make that cybersecurity and resilience. Otherwise, you will keep on adding, various other tools, but you will be missing that part, what you have with you. That's the power of data in your environment. Are you looking holistically there, rather than just doing security in pockets, right? So that's where, I just want to say that, if you have this data, right, which is mostly unpredictable formats, it could be volume, large amount of data, right? And even though it's complex, right, to get all the data, but if you have a way to do that, trust me, it kind of gives you invaluable business and operational insights, so that you can swiftly diagnose and, kind of issues what you have, and then kind of identify all your sophisticated attacks, what you have in your environment, right? That's the crux of doing cybersecurity and resilience. And ZENfra really bangs on that. That's the strength of this product, what we have, which I talked about through ZenPack, right? And it's something which you really need to experience it. We do have trial versions, trial licenses. You can, I will be sharing some of the contacts informations after this. And we also have a curated package for you if you want to try out this one, which I want to give it as a bonus at the end of this webinar today, that, you can reach out to us. We can issue a trial license for you. You can go and play with the data what you have. And it's a foolproof solution, which is hosted on AWS, right? So we can maintain the integrity, privacy of the data, what you have. You can inject some of the logs and do an assessment about, hey, you know what? I have this many servers in my environment. What are the different patch levels? Am I exposing my server because I did not do enough work in terms of patching those servers? What is this tool is going to give me insights about it? Okay, these are the 5 servers, 10 servers, having these kind of vulnerabilities associated with it. Let's do it. And if you think of that 80-20 principle, right? So 20% of the fix what you do, 80% of your problem would be fixed largely in your ecosystem, right? That's the power of this tool when you incorporate in your environment and see how best this can deliver results and value proposition for you. Yeah. All right. So this is what I was talking about. So Success 360. If you are an employee working for a company, if you want to really try out and be that smart guy in the organization, giving those insights to your leadership, there you go. You have a customer 360 or Success 360 package, what we call it. You can try this, create those valuable insights, and be that guy with 5 stars in the organization. That's one of the options. If you think that, okay, this is the product, I need to look at it from holistically protecting my environment, my organization, there you go. You can definitely take various licensing model, what we have for, user-based licenses. You can have a site level licenses. You can talk to us. We can definitely help you out in defining that model for you to be successful and your organization to be successful. And Success 360 or a Customer 360 is just not limited about your cybersecurity and resiliency. You see on the screen, there are 5 main areas we are addressing it. Your asset inventory, your capacity, you can do a lot of prediction there. Your utilizations of your storage, and does holistic assessment, gives you recommendations, right? Be it you need to really move some of your workloads to cloud, or repatriation back from cloud to on-premises environment. Because if you look at it from a cyber resiliency and recovery perspective, It's all interconnected, right? So you may have to protect something, you may have to keep something which is on the cloud, or even if you were thinking of having a backup vault to be defined, right? A lot of migration, pieces of data moving back and forth. And ZENfra can give you the capability with Success 360 or a Customs 360, right? It can help you enormously to identify the vulnerabilities because we are relying on industry standard, um, you know, CVIDs and other things, which kind of helps you, and you can trust the solution what you have for vulnerability assessment. And phenomenal helps you in your FinOps module, doing cost savings, your cloud economics, right? So if you really want to move away, you know what, this is something which is running on AWS. Let me move this to Azure because it gives you more cost saving there. Do I have the right size for it? Am I missing some of the, or maybe I have a cloud wastage there. It gives you all that insights for you. It's a single curated package for you at a resource level, at a service provider level, channel level, and even for a direct consumption, even for an OEM or your, if you are giving that service to your end customers, you don't need to have the whole platform to be installed or looked at it, right? You can just take a suite of product, which is really based on your requirement, position that for your end customer. You can do white labeling with that, right? There are tremendous opportunities lying there to consume this product in different way, which is more pocket friendly as well, right? So you can do phenomenal application dependency mapping. You can do migrations around it. You can create your wave groups, your migration runbooks, your assessment, discovery assessment and planning. You can do all of that with, that's what we call it as a customer 360. From a 360 perspective, we want to help you and support you. Right. Just want to give you some glimpses of how Success 360 works for you. And this is something which we are helping our customers. So this is, of course, it's a sample data what we are showing to you because of various reasons, right? Compliance and other reasons. But this is from our labs. We can show to you how it gives you the flexibility to look at a particular product level, overall inventory, what you have, be it storage, server, cloud economics. It gives you the capacity level information, what you have, your economics from a cloud perspective, the spend, what you do daily, monthly, yearly, help you get that suggestions for you to repatriate to on-premises, or you move multi-cloud philosophy, those kind of information, right? Your assets which are being impacted at an operating system level, the package level, application level, what sort of remediations it needs to, the vulnerabilities with associated CVIDs. So the beauty of this, it's a single pane of glass for your entire infra, right? So you don't need to go to multiple vendors to get your assessment, your migration package, your cloud economics, your security vulnerability. One tool, boom, you get everything what you require for you to do your day in, day out operations. So that's the beauty of this product. So I would like to open up for another poll, maybe followed by questions or comments. Feel free to unmute yourself, and if you have any questions, you can definitely reach out to us. My colleague Fred is going to share our LinkedIn profiles, Skip and mine. If you really want to reach out to us through LinkedIn, you can reach out to us. He will also share the ZENfra official webpage and our LinkedIn page for our organization. You can reach out there. Following which, if you're interested, definitely our sales folks can reach out to you. If you really want to have a one-on-one conversation, if you don't know where to start, how to go about it, we can definitely help you and support you in that journey without even having a product installed there. So we just want to make you successful with what you do. Then think about how you can leverage this product and consume this. Right? Happy to support you in that. So over to you. Okay, I see that the poll is already on the screen. And if you're done with the poll, feel free to ask any questions. We would be happy to take up that. Skip, would you like to add anything?
Sorry, it took me a moment to come off mute. I really am really thankful for the opportunity to speak with you guys today. I really think that our Success Customer 360 is a fantastic tool for anyone that is an organization that is interested in gaining deeper insights into their running systems. You know, one other thing that Vipin may not have mentioned is it's an extremely lightweight tool. There is nothing required to be installed on site unless you want to use the automated collector, which basically runs in a small VM. Otherwise, it just takes standard outputs from all of the various input sources. And then that gets uploaded to our cloud instance. And once that upload happens, we parse it, run through it, and then share with you the reports.
Precisely. Thank you so much for adding that, Skip. So here are our coordinates, what you see on the screen. Feel free to reach out to us if you want to shoot an email, reach out to us info@zenfra.ai. Visit our website if you want to know more about it. And we have our colleagues from sales team would definitely happy to have a conversation with you if you have any more detailed conversation. If you would like to speak to Skip or me, so feel free to send a text in LinkedIn. We would be happy to connect with you as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, or you can post the question and Fred can read out for us. Assume you don't have any questions with that. Probably whatever we could cover today, we did that. But look out for these series every Tuesday, same time, we have webinars running on various topics, be it migrations, because we've been doing many of the Fortune 100 companies migration services. We can definitely share those experiences with you in making your migration journey successful. So feel free to pop in for every Tuesday, same time, for a webinar, what we do on various things, be it vulnerability assessment, migrations, your discovery analysis and planning. And you can see this as a series of webinars you can really follow, gain more insights and knowledge. And if you have any suggestions for that matter to include in upcoming webinars, feel free to let us know. We would be happy to deliver those sessions as well. All right, with that, I would like to thank all of you for joining today for this webinar, and see you again in the next webinar if you're interested in these kind of series of sessions, what we deliver. I wish you a great day ahead, and talk to you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.